On March 28, 2022, we acknowledge that the sacred land in which Smiths Falls is now located has been a site of human activity for over 10,000 years and is rich in Indigenous history. This land is the ancestral and unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe Nation. We are grateful to the Algonquin ancestors who cared for the land and water in order that we might meet here today. We're also grateful to the Algonquin people for their contribution in the making of the Rideau Canal, which runs through Smiths Falls. We are mindful of broken covenants and the need to reconcile with all our relations. Together, may we care for this land and each other, drawing on the strength of our mutual history of nation building through peace and friendship, being mindful of generations to come. I'll call this meeting to order. I've got two announcements this evening. The first one, back on April 6, 2020 at 6:08 p.m., Smiths Falls entered into a state of emergency as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. Through that time, our emergency control group has met 78 times. Numerous times through this pandemic, we have discussed the future of the state of emergency and the appropriate time to remove ourselves from a state of emergency. So with consensus and support from staff at last week's meeting, I've made the declaration tonight that we will end the state of emergency at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. And let's hope that we have no need to return to a state of emergency anytime in the near future. I also have one proclamation this evening. World Autism Awareness Month, April 2022. Whereas autism spectrum disorder, ASD, is a neurodevelopmental disorder that affects more than 100,000 Ontarians. And whereas autism spectrum disorder affects a person's social relationships, communication, interests, and behavior, and whereas early intervention for young children on the autism spectrum may help them develop communication, social, and other skills, resulting in more meaningful participation in their communities. Whereas children, youth, and adults on the autism spectrum and their families can benefit from community supports and inclusive practices. And with this assistance, an increasing number of individuals on the autism spectrum are able to live and work independently. Whereas Autism Ontario is dedicated to increasing public awareness about autism and the day-to-day issues faced by individuals with autism, their families, and the professionals with whom they interact. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Sean Panko, Mayor of the town of Smiths Falls, do hereby proclaim the month of April 2022 as Autism Awareness Month in the town of Smiths Falls. And we are blessed to have, Tracy and I are blessed to have an autistic granddaughter. She's 4 years old. She's a wonderful little girl. And coincidentally, today I saw a video from her at school writing her name for the first time. And considering the challenges that comes with an autistic child, making those milestones is absolutely incredible. And to see the support the schools are able to provide gives us confidence that there are better days ahead and the opportunity to develop and have a normal childhood and hopefully a great life as an adult as well. So World Autism Awareness Month is extremely meaningful to all of us in Smiths Falls, and World Autism Day will be April 2nd. So again, recognition for World Autism. As for disclosure of monetary interest, I see none. We have no delegations due to the nature of meeting, no adoption of minutes. I assume no reports. We have a council meeting scheduled for next Monday. If any reports can be deferred until then. We do a number of bylaws, and we're going to start with Councillor McGuire, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor McKenna that a bylaw to authorize execution of a transfer payment agreement for the court security and prisoner transportation program be read a first time and taken as read a second time.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor McGuire, seconded by Councillor McKenna, that a bylaw to authorize execution of a transfer payment prisoner transportation program be received for the first time and taken as read a second time. All in favor? Carried. Discussion, Councillor McGuire.
This is for $2,777.04. For some reason, it comes through the municipality, but the money will be provided to the police service, and we need to sign it before March 31st. So it's a timely one tonight.
Thank you. Any further discussion? May I have a third reading, please?
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor McKenna, that a bylaw to authorize execution of a transfer payment agreement for the prisoner transportation program be received and read a first time and taken as read a second time.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor McGuire, seconded by Councillor McKenna, that a bylaw to authorize execution of a transfer of payment agreement with Her Majesty the Queen of the Right of Ontario as represented by the Solicitor General respecting the Court Security and Prisoner Transportation Program be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 10325-2022. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. And Councillor Allen, I believe you have the next bylaw.
Yes, Your Worship. Bylaw to authorize execution, moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Brennan, that a bylaw to authorize execution of a contribution agreement with Her Majesty the Queen in Right of Canada, represented by the Minister responsible for Federal Economic Development Agency for Southern Ontario, be received and read a first time and taken as read a second time.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Allen, second by Councillor Brennan, that a bylaw to authorize execution of a contribution agreement with Her Majesty the Queen in the Right of Canada, represented by the Minister responsible for Federal Economic Development Agency for Southern Ontario, be received and read a first time and taken as read a second time. All in favor? That's carried. Discussion, Councillor Allen, you have some good news for us.
Yes, this is good and good news for sure for phase 2 of our Beckwith Street. We have a funding in the amount of $750,000 given to us by the federal government. And we're going to do a municipal contribution in the amount of $250 from capital reserves. So this will really help our payment of our development of Beckwith Street phase 2, which is coming.
Wonderful. Thank you. Any further discussion? May I have the third reading, please?
Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Brennan, that a bylaw to authorize execution of a contribution agreement with Her Majesty the Queen in Right of Canada, represented by the Minister responsible for Federal Economic Development Agency for Southern Ontario, be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 10326-2022.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Allen, second by Councillor Brennan, that a bylaw to authorize execution of a contribution agreement with Her Majesty the Queen in Right of Canada, represented by the Minister responsible for Federal Economic Development Agency for Southern Ontario, be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 10326-2022. All in favor? That's a slam dunk. Thank you. Councillor Brennan, you're up next.
Thank you. Excuse me. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Alford, that a bylaw to appoint Paul Klassen as bylaw enforcement officer for the town of Smith Falls be received and read a first time and taken as read a second time.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Brennan, seconded by Councillor Alford, the bylaw to appoint Paul Klassen as bylaw enforcement officer for the town of Smith Falls be received and read a first time and taken as read a second time. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Discussion, Councillor Brennan?
Well, we've appointed Paul as our bylaw enforcement officer. As we all know around this table, that is a very difficult job. And it takes some real public relations abilities. And we all know Paul from his time at the police services in our police services. So he's going to do a great job, and happy to move this motion tonight.
Great. Thank you. Any further discussion? May I have a third reading, please?
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Alfred, that a bylaw to appoint Paul Klassen as a bylaw enforcement officer for the town of Smith Falls be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 10327-2022.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Brennan, seconded by Councillor Alford, that a bylaw to appoint Paul Klassen as a bylaw enforcement officer for the town of Smith Falls be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 10327-2022. All in favor? That's carried as well. Thank you. And Councillor McKenna, you have the next bylaw.
Yes, it's, thank you, Your Worship. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Alfred, that a bylaw to appoint Scott Sabarin as a bylaw enforcement officer for the town of Smith Falls be received and read a first time and taken as read a second time.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor McKenna, second by Councillor Alfred, the bylaw to appoint Scott Sabarin as a bylaw enforcement officer for the town of Smith Falls be received and read a first time and taken as read a second time. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Discussion, Councillor McKenna?
Well, as Councillor Brennan pointed out, this is a requirement to appoint these key positions in our municipality. And Mr. Sabarin, we've had a chance to look at his credentials. I think the town's been very fortunate to recruit two highly qualified people for these positions. So delighted to bring this motion forward.
Thank you. Any further discussion? May I have a third reading, please?
Yes, moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Alford, that a bylaw to appoint Scott Sabourin as a bylaw enforcement officer for the town of Smith Falls be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, and sealed and numbered 10328-2022.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor McKenna, second by Councillor Alford, that a bylaw to appoint Scott Sabourin as a bylaw enforcement officer for the town of Smith Falls be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 10328-2022. All in favor? And that also is carried. Thank you. Councillor McGuire, you have bylaws on the next bylaw.
Your worship, moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Allen, that a bylaw to amend procedural bylaw 7852-2004 to allow the continuation of virtual meetings following the end of the declared state of emergency be read a first time and taken as read a second time.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor McGuire, second by Councillor Allen, that a bylaw to amend procedural bylaw 7852-2004 to allow the continuation of virtual meetings following the end of the declared state of emergency be received, read a first time, and taken as read a second time. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Discussion, Councillor McGuire?
Yeah, so this is to continue our virtual meeting format now that the state of emergency has ended. It's a very cost-effective, transparent, and accountable way to meet. And while the town hall renovations are underway, it's going to be the best tool for us. So committees and councils will continue to meet. You can continue to watch us on YouTube, Facebook, and everywhere else fine council meetings are hosted. And hopefully we'll get back to the chambers before our term's over.
Yes, thank you. Any further discussion? May I have third reading, please?
Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Allen, that a bylaw to amend procedural bylaw 7852-2004 to allow the continuation of virtual meetings following the end of the declared state of emergency be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 10329-2022.
Thank you. It's moved by Councillor McGuire, second by Councillor Allen, that a bylaw to amend procedural bylaw 7852-2004 to allow the continuation of virtual meetings following the end of the declared state of emergency be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and number 10329-2022. All in favor? And that is carried. Councillor Alford, you were our last bylaw, I believe.
Thank you, Your Worship. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor McGuire, that bylaw to adopt a levy for the Smith Falls Downtown Business Association be now read a first time and taken as read a second time.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Alford, second by Councillor McGuire, that a bylaw to adopt a levy for the Smith Falls Downtown Business Association be read a first time and taken as read a second time. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you. Discussion?
Yes, Your Worship. Some time ago in late 2021, call it the DSFBA, made the decision to hire a full-time coordinator. It had become untenable to deliver on the mandate and mission of the Downtown Business Association without more hours. And so when that decision was made, it impacted the board's ability to deliver anything else but that. So we were fortunate enough, the DBA was fortunate enough to be a successful applicant for the My Main Street grant, which added 15.5 to the coffers. But originally we had, the DSFBA had thought that it would need to be a much higher levy. With that, it means that the board voted twice to ask the council to approve a $25,000 levy in 2022, and it has made 2 recommendations for future council and board.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Yes, Councillor Brennan.
Yeah, I'm not going to support this. I guess I'll just request a recorded vote, please. Thank you.
Sure thing. Okay. Anything further? And the third reading, please.
Yeah, sure. So moved by myself, seconded by Councillor McGuire, that a bylaw to adopt a levy for the Smith Falls Downtown Business Association be now read a third time and numbered, I don't know. The clerk will have to advise.
I assume 10330. Is that
Sorry, that will be 10333-2022.
okay?
Or sorry, 330-2022. My apologies.
Okay.
Okay. Just
Thank you.
be now read a third time and numbered 10330-2022.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Alfred, second by Councillor McGuire. That a bylaw to adopt a levy for the Smith Falls Downtown Business Association be now read a third time and finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 10330-2022. Recorded vote has been requested. Deputy Clerk Bennett, you have the
Okay.
floor.
Thank you. With respect to bylaw 10330-2022, please state yay or nay. Councillor Alfred,
Yay.
Councillor Allen,
Yay.
Councillor Brennan,
Nay.
Councillor Dwyer is absent. Councillor McGuire,
Yay.
Councillor McKenna,
Yay.
Mayor Penko.
Yay.
This bylaw is carried.
Thank you. Okay, we have one more piece of business, our drinking water system summary, and that is with Councillor Allen, please.
Yes, Your Worship, moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Brennan that Council of the Corporation of the Town of Smith Falls receive report 2022-36 detailing the 2021 Smith Falls drinking water system summary as prepared by the Manager of Water and Wastewater Treatment.
Thank you. Discussion, Councillor Allen?
Yes, this is an annual requirement, and I remember, it seems like a long time ago, but we were trained as counselors on our expectation of having clean water because of, some big problems that were happening at that time in another community. At any rate, we've had such good staff, and right now Director McMunn just gave a wonderful report showing statistics of things that are improving and how he's keeping our town water safe. So it was a good news story all around. And we thank Director McMunn and his staff, the water wastewater treatment plant.
Anything further? It's moved by Councillor Allen, second by Councillor Brennan. The Council of the Corporation of Town of Smith Falls receive report 2022-36 detailing the 2021 Smith Falls drinking water system summary as prepared by the Manager of Water and Wastewater Treatment. All in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. Any inquiries or announcements? Yes, Councillor McKenna first, then Councillor McGuire.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just wanted to bring the public's attention to the agreement between the federal government and the province of Ontario on the child care funding agreement, which was long overdue, and really delighted with the outcome. I expect by the end of this year that childcare costs will go down by half, 50% reduction. And I might point out that the letter that Smith Falls sent last week probably was the tipping point that just pushed it over the top. So well done to my council colleagues.
Just in time. Thank you. Councillor McGuire.
Thank you, Your Worship. If you'll indulge, I've got a quick trivia tonight.
Sure.
Who was the first female warden of Lanark County?
Margaret Duncan.
Oh,
Yeah, so Margaret
Rest
passed
in
away
peace.
on March 24th. From her obituary, she was a successful businesswoman, an elected municipal official, a community fundraiser, a mother, grandmother, great-grandmother, wife, sister, aunt, cousin, and friend. In 1974, she was the first woman elected to Ramsey Township Council, and in 1994, she became the first female warden of Lanark County. She was a real champion in the community. I encourage everybody to look up her obituary, not directly related to Smith Falls, but she definitely served our community through her involvement with the county. I know she was a card-carrying liberal, but her friendship and mentorship crossed party lines, and she was just one of those all-around great people that made our county and our community great. So condolences to her family, and I encourage everybody to look up the obituary. It's great.
wonderful tribute. Thanks. Thank you, Councillor. Okay, motion for adjournment is with Councillor McKenna.
Thank you, Your Worship. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Brennan that this council adjourn its proceedings at 7:37 and stand so adjourned until the next duly called meeting of council.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor McCann, second by Councillor Brennan. This council adjourns proceedings at 7:37 PM and stand so adjourned to the next duly called meeting of council. All in favor? We are adjourned.
Good evening.
Everyone, good night.
Right, everyone.